I'm Emily, and today we're here at Creighton with Dr. Debbie Wells, who's the Associate Dean for Graduate Business Programs. And today we're going to be discussing the Investiture ceremony address that she delivered this most recent December at the hooding ceremony. All right, Debbie, so who is this address aimed at?
I teach graduate students who are in various stages of their careers. And my aim is always to give people pieces of practical, useful advice that they can use in the workplace. So it's aimed at those people who are going forward, will have more and more responsibility for direct supervision and management of people. And it's designed to be pieces of advice that are useful on an everyday basis.
So Debbie, you talk a lot about communication in your speech, and I really liked your point about listening not only with your ears, but with your eyes as well. Can you talk about your experience with that?
We all know the value of nonverbal communication because it tells us things that words alone do not. And my point about listening with your eyes is to make sure that when there's a contrast between what someone's saying and what they're doing or the expression they have on their face, there's probably more going on. And you should probe, you should be sensitive, you should ask more questions if you suspect that that person has more to tell you in a conversation.
Okay. Are there any other topics that have arisen since you wrote this speech in December?
Amazingly enough, just since the time that I wrote this, I've come up with a couple of other ideas for things I would actually add to this advice. One of those is when we use our little texting keyboards, we tend to write very short messages and they come across sometimes as terse, maybe even a little bit rude. So don't forget that the context is missing when you're using a texting keyboard. Even if it says, "Hi, how are you?" as a kind opening, then go on and say what you have to say. Do something to make those messages come across a little bit more positively. Okay. The other one is the idea that when you have assignments that you've given to your direct reports, develop a system for following up with them so you can tell whether they're making progress, they can tell you if they need help, but keep track of where people are on their projects. It's difficult to be given an assignment and never have your boss check back in to see how you're doing or show any care or concern for the progress that's being made. So those are a couple of additional pieces of advice I'd add to my list of 14 items.
Okay, great. Very interesting. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us in our discussion. And to view Debbie's full speech, click on the link below. If you have any other questions or comments, find us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, or comment on this blog. Thanks.